A kid walks into a room full of killers. He draws a single sword. And then, two goldfish appear. This is the manga debut that broke the internet. A total unknown that within 1 week had the entire community screaming one name: Kagurabachi. So let me show you exactly what happens in Chapter 1 and why that ending made everyone lose their minds. It opens in a forge. Fire, steel, sparks, and the single greatest swordsmith who has ever lived. His name is Kunishige Rokuhira, and the boy working the steel beside him, learning the craft, is his son, Chihiro. And this is the heart of the whole thing. Not the swords, these two. A legendary father, a hot-headed kid, and a craft being passed down one hammer blow at a time. And the dad is a little weird. He talks to his goldfish. He comes home one day with a few of them and explains, completely seriously, that the red one brings good fortune and the black one wards off evil. Chihiro thinks it is nonsense. Just remember the goldfish. The author is not wasting your time, because Kunishige is not just any swordsmith. He forged 6 enchanted blades. Weapons of real terrifying power, made during a war that shaped the world. He made all of them, which makes this calm man in this quiet house one of the most important people alive. And that is exactly why they came for him. One night, 3 years before our story, a group of elite sorcerers called the Hishaku attacked. They killed Kunishige, and they stole all 6 blades. By the time help arrived, there was nothing left but a burning ruin and a scarred little boy kneeling in the ashes, holding the one sword they did not get. A blade called Enchanted. Cut forward. 38 months later, the kid is gone. What is walking into the city now is a young man with cold, dead eyes, one partner named Shiba, and one purpose: hunt down the Hishaku and take back his father's blades. Their first lead is a Yakuza group called the Korigumi, who have been doing the Hishaku's dirty work and just strung their enemies up in the street. Chihiro was going to negotiate. After seeing that, plan changed. Shiba takes the guards outside. Chihiro walks straight into the base and starts cutting his way through every man in the room. And then it happens. The moment that sold 1 million people on this series. He draws Enten, and 2 goldfish bloom out of the blade. The black one, the one his father said wards off evil, wraps around the steel, and the sword turns pure black. One slash cuts the entire line of Yakuza in half. The cute little goldfish from his dad's house, that is his weapon. That is his father's gift. That is the power he is going to burn the Hishaku down with. And that is why this debut hits so hard. Here is my honest take. It is not the cool sword. It is the setup. Every quiet little moment, the forge, the goldfish, the dumb jokes, gets paid off as either a wound or a weapon. Nothing is wasted. You do not just think the fight is cool, you feel why it matters. That is not luck. That is the same craft the old man was preaching in panel 1. So, that is chapter 1 of Kagurabachi. The forge, the goldfish, the blades, and a son who turned his father's gift into a weapon of revenge. If you want me to keep going, chapter by chapter, all the way to where we are now, say the word, and I will see you in the next breakdown. Blood across his face, a blade in his hand, and not a trace of hesitation. Welcome back to Kagurabachi. Because the things hunting this boy don't always bother to keep a human shape. And some of the very worst of them used to be ordinary people. This is chapter 2, so let's break the entire thing down from the start. We pick up in the middle of a job that has already turned violent. The room is wrecked, the men are down, and Chihiro is still standing. He doesn't negotiate and he doesn't bluff. He cuts first and asks his questions afterward. This time, though, he isn't alone. The blonde man with him is a sorcerer named Shiba, and the man left alive on the floor is an informant who knows far too much to keep quiet. Chihiro wants exactly one thing from him: the names tied to his father's stolen blades. The informant panics, begging to know who these 2 terrifying intruders even are. Shiba steps in with a relaxed smile, working him over with easy, friendly words. But the only question that actually matters is about a group called the Hishaku. The Hishaku, the shadowy faction standing behind everything that Chihiro has lost. Shiba keeps playing the friendly half of this pair because Chihiro very clearly never will. And honestly, one cold look from Chihiro is usually more than enough to loosen any tongue. "I'm only here for support," Shiba grins, the kind of support that comes with a very sharp edge. Then the informant suddenly starts to scream, and it quickly stops sounding human at all. Something that was buried deep inside him is now clawing its way up to the surface. His body twists, his voice tears itself apart, and the man is simply gone. "Run, you two," he chokes out, as a wave of black tendrils erupts out of his body. But Chihiro has already moved. His enchanted blade answers the curse with a single burning stroke. The cursed mass rears up anyway, swallowing the entire room in writhing black. This is what the Hishaku leave behind them, a deadly trap hidden inside their own people. It lunges forward, far faster than Shiba can possibly react. For a heartbeat, it looks like it has them both. And then, Chihiro's flame, his blade Enten, tears straight through the heart of the curse. Sheesh, that was close. Shiba laughs shakily, brushing the ash and soot off his shirt. When the smoke finally clears, the room is nothing but scorched ruin. The informant somehow survives, barely left slumped over and completely hollowed out. And Chihiro buckles because that fire quietly drains him every single time he draws it. Shiba catches him before he drops, joking that he burned way too hot today. Chihiro just shrugs it off. Slowing down has never once been an option for him. Shiba keeps the mood light, but even he understands exactly what the two of them are chasing. Because every fight like this one is just another thread leading back to the Hishaku. And ever since the night his father died, there has been no reliable word on the blades at all. Someone out there could be using those stolen swords for slaughter at this very moment. And Chihiro is left standing here with nothing in his hands, but rumors and dead ends. So he grips the one blade that he actually managed to save, and he keeps pushing forward. He still remembers the home that used to sit right at the end of that quiet road. The day it all burned down, he rushed over as fast as he could, and he still arrived far too late. Everything he loved was taken from him in a single, merciless night. All that was left waiting for him was ruin, and the heavy silence that came afterward. Back in the present, Chihiro finds that he simply cannot sit still inside a quiet room. For just a moment, the world around him can almost look ordinary and calm. But the next real lead points straight toward the heart of the city. Word has finally arrived that one of the enchanted blades has surfaced again. Tokyo, the place where most sorcerers and most of those blades eventually end up. He knows full well that walking in there means walking straight into another war. So he lifts his father's sword up toward the moon and quietly renews his vow. Find the Hishaku, reclaim the blades. And chapter 3 is where the city finally bites back. A blade, a sudden burst of motion, and a kid caught right in the middle of it. Chihiro is about to take on the strangest protection job of his entire life. And it all erupts out of a warning that the grown-ups flatly refuse to believe. This is Kagurabachi, chapter 3, so let's break the whole thing down. We open on Tokyo at night, a city quietly home to over 1,000 sorcerers. And we meet Hinao, a sharp, grinning girl who runs a very unusual little cafe. It's called Cafe Haru Haru, tucked away down a quiet back street. Her real trade is connecting sorcerers with the people who want to hire them. Anyone in this city, hunting for that kind of help, eventually lands at her counter. And she keeps a close eye on the Hishaku, the group tied to the stolen blades. Her little shop sits right where the city's underbelly does its business. Years ago, Shiba walked in and asked if she'd ever heard of Kunishiga Rokuhira. That's Chihiro's father, murdered by the Hishaku who proudly claimed the kill. Hinao agreed to dig, but for 3 long years she turned up absolutely nothing. Now, in the present, Chihiro and Shiba step back through her door. Hinao greets them as warmly as ever, which is to say, not very warmly at all. But this time, she finally has a lead, a witness who saw an enchanted blade. And that witness, she tells them, is fast asleep in the back room right now. It's a small, filthy, exhausted kid, completely out cold. Chihiro and Shiba lean in to get a proper look at her. She stirs awake, a scrawny girl drowning in an oversized shirt. This is Cha, and the very first thing out of her mouth makes Shiba nearly choke. She wants to hire a sorcerer, right here and right now. Chihiro just raises an eyebrow. Hire a sorcerer? How come? She's deadly serious. A bad guy is after her, and she needs protection. Chihiro watches her quietly, his face completely unreadable. Because the man hunting her, she says, carries the single strongest sword there is. Chihiro and Shiba trade a sharp glance. A man with an enchanted blade? But she can't tell them who he is, or even what he looks like. Shiba sighs. They chase the faintest leads, but even this feels far too thin. Then a quieter truth slips out. She's lost. She doesn't have a home. Personally, I think hiding a major lead inside one hungry little kid is the smartest move this series has pulled off yet. Shiba's face softens, and he carefully asks her about her parents. She's an orphan, completely alone, running on nothing but raw nerve. They quietly decide the decent thing is to take her to an orphanage. Her whole face falls. That is absolutely not what she wanted to hear. But then Chihiro asks the one question that matters. You want something to eat? He sets a steaming hot bowl of tempura soba down right in front of her. By now, the poor, exhausted kid can barely keep her eyes open. And honestly, this is where Chapter 3 quietly won me over, making us care about Cha before a single sword is even drawn. Shiba slurps his own bowl, quietly keeping one eye on the kid, and they keep having to haul her back upright by the scruff of her collar. Outside, the enormous city just keeps moving, completely oblivious. Chihiro reminds her that after this, he really is taking her to an orphanage. And for a moment, she's just one tired kid lost in a massive city. Something in Chihiro pauses, like a part of him half believes her after all. Then, out across the Tokyo rooftops, something quietly shifts. A man named Norisaku steps into the story, and he is absolutely not bluffing. The quiet street right outside the cafe suddenly stops being quiet. He is exactly the man who's been hunting Cha, and he's come to collect. Chihiro is already moving, hurling himself straight toward the danger. He realizes, far too late to gloat, that the kid was telling the whole truth. Norisaku bursts through the wall, with Cha bound up and held hostage. Chihiro's stare goes ice cold. Just like that, this became his job. Against a man bearing the Hishaku's mark, that is a death sentence for most. But Chihiro just grins, draws his blade Enten and says, "You got it. If you made it all the way to here, you are exactly who this channel is for." I break down every single chapter of Kagurabachi just like this one, so hit subscribe and smash that like button and you will not miss chapter 4. And tell me down in the comments, do you really think Chihiro can protect Cha?